Exposed, how one incredible call from a handcuffed woman transformed 2 lives forever. On a seemingly ordinary Tuesday morning in Maplewood, Sarah poured coffee into chipped mugs at the local diner, her hands trembling just slightly from lack of sleep. The bells above the door chimed as townsfolk shuffled in, their lives woven together like the threads of an old quilt. But in that moment, her tumultuous thoughts fluttered around the edges of her mind: bills stacked high, soccer practice to organize, and the smell of burnt toast wafting from her house. Little did she know that a single phone call would soon unravel her entire world. "Mom, can you help me with my math homework?" Her son, Ethan, called as he flipped through the worn pages of his textbook. Sarah's heart tugged. He needed her, they all did. But as she glanced down at her watch, anxiety roiling in her stomach, a sudden frantic ring shattered the morning traditions. She answered, thinking it might be just another logistical issue. "Sarah?" The voice crackled through the line like shards of glass. "Who is this?" she asked, confusion knitting her brows together. "Rachel, I'm in jail," the woman's voice trembled, laced with fear and something deeper. Sarah felt a wave of recognition wash over her. Rachel was only 26, the age Sarah had tried to drown in her own vices a lifetime ago. "Please, I need someone to hear me. I messed up." Rachel's raw despair resonated in the hollow space of the diner, resonating with Sarah's past. This girl, handcuffed and in turmoil, mirrored the struggles Sarah had fought against in her youth. It was a call that begged for compassion. Their connection burst into life like a flame caught in a windstorm. Sarah listened, gripped by Rachel's story: betrayals, heartbreak, and battles with addiction. Tears gathered in her eyes as Rachel revealed how her choices had spiraled, leaving her feeling isolated and afraid. Suddenly, everything Sarah held dear, family, compassion, healing, became the backbone for this new friendship. She wasn't just hearing a story, she was feeling it, reliving it. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself increasingly entwined in Rachel's story. As she forged her way through the judgments of neighbors, whispers chased her down the paved streets of Maplewood. "Why would you be friends with someone like that?" they would ask. Her children, despite being young, sensed the shift, their brows furrowing with worry. "Mom, do you even know her?" But Rachel needed her, and Sarah couldn't turn her back. With every meeting, the threads of their lives strengthened, and with every encounter, Sarah's past unraveled more, exposing emotions she thought had long since healed. Just when hope began to twinkle, the ground shook beneath them. Rachel received an unexpected sentence and uncertainty cloaked their newfound bond. As Sarah grasped her phone, dread coursing through her veins, it rang one last time, a lifeline draped in desperation. Would she be able to save Rachel? And more importantly, would she save herself? As the dial tone faded, Sarah stood on the precipice of change, grappling with her loyalties. The question hung heavy in the air: which of their stories would truly end in redemption? The weight of that question clung to Sarah like a heavy blanket on a sweltering day. She stared at the phone in her hand, its screen glowing as if begging her for a response. What did Rachel's sentence mean? Could she still help her? And would confronting her past be worth it? Anxiety twisted her stomach into knots, but deep down, she knew she couldn't turn away now. "Mom." Ethan's small voice startled her from her turmoil. "Yeah, honey," she managed to say, trying to mask her unease. "Can we go to the soccer field? I want to practice before my game on Saturday." "Of course," she replied, forcing a smile. She needed to be present for her son, even as her thoughts swirled with uncertainties. As they drove to the soccer field, the sun cast long shadows on the pavement, akin to the shadows creeping into her heart. Ethan chattered about formations and his new cleats, but Sarah's mind was miles away, still with Rachel. Paradoxically, it was the distance between her, the woman on the other end of the line, and the life that seemed to spiral out of control. Once they arrived, she watched Ethan run onto the field, his laughter ringing like bells in the crisp autumn air. As he kicked the ball into the goal, a flood of joy washed over her. It was a simple moment, but it felt transformative. For a flicker of time, she forgot about Rachel, her troubles, and even the hushed whispers that followed her through town. But as soon as she turned away, Rachel's face flashed in her mind. There was no escaping it. The next day, she gathered her courage and drove to the courthouse. Each turn in the road felt monumental, and the closer she got, the more she questioned her decision. What would she say to Rachel? What if she failed? Inside the building, the sterile air was thick with anxiety and doubt. Rachel sat alone in the waiting area, her eyes hollow yet filled with a glimmer of recognition when they met Sarah's gaze. In that moment, it was as if time stood still. Rachel, Sarah breathed, walking toward her. They sat together, a silent understanding weaving between them. "Thank you for coming," Rachel said, her voice barely above a whisper. A tear slipped down her cheek. "I don't even deserve your time." "That's not true," Sarah replied, her own voice trembling. "You deserve support, just like everyone else." Rachel looked at her, vulnerability etched across her face. "Do you really think I can change?" "I believe you can," Sarah said fiercely, surprising even herself. "Just like I had to when I was in your shoes." They shared stories that day. Rachel's life hung in a fragile balance while Sarah relived her darkest memories. Each confession brought an unexpected release for both of them. Sarah realized that helping Rachel was nudging her closer to healing her own wounds. Days turned into more meetings. Sarah began to see glimmers of hope in Rachel's eyes. But the looming court date drew closer, and Rachel's world was still teetering on the brink of chaos. Then, one fateful evening, Sarah received a call that sent her heart racing. Was it Rachel? Or was something more sinister at play, threatening to shatter everything they had built? The question hung in her mind like a storm cloud. Would she be prepared for the truth, whatever it might be? The phone rang again, cutting through the silence of her kitchen like a knife. Sarah dropped the spatula she had been using to stir dinner, heart pounding. She glanced at the caller ID. Unknown. It could be the call that would change everything. With shaking hands, she answered. "Hello? Sarah?" The voice was raspy, almost a whisper, but she recognized it immediately. "Rachel? Please, you've got to listen to me. It's important." Rachel's voice was shaky, laced with a desperation that sent chills down Sarah's spine. "What is going on?" Sarah persisted, trying to maintain calm, though her stomach twisted. "I'm in jail, Sarah," Rachel said, and Sarah felt her breath hitch. "They arrested me for something I didn't do. You've got to help me. I'm so afraid." The weight of Rachel's words pressed down on Sarah, making it hard to think. This wasn't the outcome she had envisioned. What happened? What did they say? "It's a mess," Rachel continued, her voice quaking with emotion. "I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but the evidence, it looks bad for me. I need you to come down here. You're the only person I can trust." Panic surged through Sarah. Trust? Was it wise to step back into this world? She glanced toward Ethan, who was happily playing in the living room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside. "Rachel, I can't," she started, but a part of her already knew she wouldn't be able to turn her back. "You can't just leave me like this. I'm scared, and I don't know who else to turn to. I need your help to fight this." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she felt the weight of Rachel's plea. Memories flooded back the young woman she once was, grappling with her own demons. She had sworn never to let the past define her again, but here she was, faced with a choice that felt achingly familiar. "I'll be there," Sarah finally said. "Just hold on. I'll find a way to help." After hanging up, Sarah sank into a chair at the table, heart racing. She felt a rush of fear and determination swirl within her. This was more than just about Rachel anymore, it was about confronting shadows from her own life. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across her home, Sarah prepared herself for the road ahead. She grabbed her purse, a set of notes she kept from their earlier conversations, and a deep breath for good measure. Ethan peeked over at her, curiosity written all over his face. "Mom, are you okay?" She forced a smile, though the weight in her chest refused to lift. "Just going to help a friend, buddy. Can I come?" he asked, always eager to help. "Not this time, sweetheart. It's for grown-ups." The reassurances felt hollow, but she couldn't worry him with the details. Not yet. The drive felt eternal, each mile under the dimming sky amplifying her worries. What if Rachel was innocent? What if she wasn't? As doubt crept in, Sarah tried to justify her choice, but she couldn't shake the chill of uncertainty. When she finally reached the jail, standing outside the imposing building, her heart thudded loudly in her ears. She was stepping into a world that held everything she had worked so hard to escape. Taking a deep breath, she walked inside. The reality of it hit her like a wall, long lines, cold metal, and the feel of hopelessness in the air. Suddenly, the weight of her decision bore down on her. Would she find the answers she needed, or would this journey only lead to more questions? As she waited to see Rachel, another call came in. Would this bring clarity or only confusion? The phone buzzed eagerly against Sarah's palm, a jarring reminder of the tension she was already battling. She hesitated for a heartbeat, glancing around the stark, fluorescent-lit room filled with other anxious visitors. The call was from an unknown number, and it felt ominous, like a storm cloud swelling with rain. "Hello," she answered, a mixture of hope and dread swirling within her. "Sarah. It's Mike," the voice on the other end had a hurried edge. Mike had once been a close friend from their past, now a distant colleague. "I heard about Rachel. Are you involved?" "What do you mean?" she asked, anxiety inching its way into her voice. "I know things," he rushed. "I know they aren't telling you everything. I shouldn't be the one to say this, but you need to be careful. There's more to her story. You don't know the whole truth." "Mike, what are you talking about?" Sarah felt her heart drop, an unsettling feeling gnawing at her insides. "I can't get into it here. Go see her, just be cautious. If you need my help, you know how to reach me," Mike warned before the line went dead. His words echoed in her mind as she turned away from the main lobby. The weight of the news pressed against her chest. Had Rachel really fallen into something deeper than a mere misunderstanding? Suddenly, it felt like Sarah was standing on a precipice, the world below her pitching and sinking into the unknown. She stepped into the waiting room area for inmates, eyes darting around, taking in the whispers, the growing tension mixed with the hollow sounds of lonely hearts. Her palms felt sweaty as she sat, trying to shake off Mike's words. She was here for Rachel, not to let fear consume her again. Moments later, a guard appeared, ushering her through to the visitation room. Her pulse quickened with every step. She finally caught sight of Rachel sitting at a small table, her face pale and drawn, reflecting a fragility that made Sarah's heart ache. "Rachel," she whispered, taking the seat opposite her. A million unsaid words filled the air, thick and heavy with unprocessed emotions. "Sarah," Rachel replied, her voice cracking. "Thank you for coming." "I'm here," Sarah said softly, forcing herself to meet her friend's gaze. "I heard what happened. What's really going on?" Rachel sighed deeply, wringing her hands in front of her. "I swear, I wasn't involved in anything illegal. I was just at that party, but things got out of control. Her voice broke. There are things I didn't tell you, things that could put me in real danger. What do you mean? What did you see? Sarah leaned in, desperate to understand, the previous call from Mike echoing in her mind. I saw someone hurt someone I never thought would do anything like that. I thought I could brush it off, blend into the background, Rachel said, her voice trembling. But then, they pinned it all on me. And I couldn't speak up for fear of what they do. Gathering her courage, Sarah felt her heart race. Then we need to tell someone. We can find a way to prove you're innocent. The door swung open abruptly, a new guard entering with a stern look. Tie mess up, he announced, and Sarah felt her stomach drop. Please, don't give up on me, Sarah, Rachel pleaded, her eyes glistening with tears. I need you to trust me. This is bigger than it seems. As Sarah stood to leave, she glanced back, uncertainty swirling in her chest. Would she truly help Rachel, or was she stepping into something dangerous? Her heart pounded with the weight of the unfolding journey. When she reached the exit, she felt a pull to turn back, but her phone vibrated fiercely again in her pocket. A new message? With a mix of apprehension and determination, Sarah hesitated, melding between the present and the whole unknown before her. Who had been trying to reach her this time? And would this message lead her closer to the truth or further into chaos? Sarah stepped outside, the blast of fresh air hitting her like a wave, bringing her back to the reality of the moment. She could still feel Rachel's pleading eyes boring into her mind, her voice echoing with desperation. The bustling sounds of people passing by contrasted sharply with the heaviness that had settled in Sarah's heart. Pulling out her phone, she glanced at the screen, the message waiting there felt weighty. With trembling fingers, she opened it. It was from Mike. Meet me at the cafe by the station. We need to talk. The address was familiar, a place they used to frequent, a place that now felt tainted with the unpleasant shadow of Rachel's predicament. A mix of trepidation and determination surged within her. She needed answers, and Mike might have what she was looking for. She took a deep breath, her mind racing as she walked towards the cafe. What truth did Mike hold? Would it help Rachel or complicate things further? As she stepped inside, the aroma of brewed coffee enveloped her, but it did little to calm her nerves. She spotted Mike seated in a corner, his face drawn and serious. When he saw her approach, he nodded solemnly, gesturing for her to sit. Thanks for coming, Sarah, he said quietly. I know this is hard for you. Just tell me what you know, she replied, urgency in her voice. I spoke to Rachel, and she seems terrified. Why are they pinning this on her? Mike leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. It's bigger than just Rachel, trust me. The people involved at that party, they have influence. They're not going to let anyone stand in their way. If Rachel starts talking, it's not just her who is at risk. Sarah's insides twisted. What do you mean? Are you saying they hurt her? Or me? What do I do? Listen, he said, running a hand through his hair. I couldn't keep quiet. Rachel is in deep trouble. But I also know that there are people willing to help her. We just have to figure out who we can trust. Why didn't you say anything sooner? You could have just warned her. I didn't know how deep it went until I started looking into it. I should be reached out sooner, but I was afraid. I've seen what happens to people who dig too deep, he said, a haunted look in his eyes. Fear clenched around Sarah's heart. She flashed back to Rachel, her fragile frame, her eyes full of need. You think if we dig, we'll find something that clears Rachel? If we find the right evidence and the right people, yes. But we have to be cautious. These people won't hesitate to silence anyone who gets in their way. A wave of realization hit Sarah. This wasn't just about Rachel anymore. This was about uncovering the truth, saving her friend, and possibly revealing a network of corruption. What's our next move? She asked, her voice steady. She could feel the adrenaline pumping, pushing away the fear. Mike hesitated, eyes darting around, as if fearing someone might overhear them. I want you to help me get access to the surveillance footage from that night. We need to see what really happened. Sarah's heart raced. This was it. The chance to help Rachel. Yet, a sliver of doubt crept back in. And if we find something? What do we do then? Mike leaned in closer, urgency coloring his tone. Then we expose it. But we have to be ready for anything. Promise me you'll be careful. I promise, she whispered, determination settling in. But even as she said the words, a prickle of fear ran down her spine. What had she opened herself up to? As they began discussing their plan, Sarah's phone vibrated again, gut-wrenching urgency piercing through her focus. She glanced at the screen and her heart sank. It's from Rachel's mom. With a racing pulse, she realized they were running out of time. What news awaited her on the other end? Would it bring hope or plunge them deeper into chaos? As she anxiously slid her finger across the screen, Sarah felt her heartbeat quicken. The message was brief, but the weight of it felt like a leaden stone in her stomach. Call me. It's urgent. Rachel needs you. Panic surged through her. She glanced at Mike, whose expression was a mixture of concern and anticipation. You need to take that, he urged softly. Whatever it is, it could change everything. Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped away from the table, trying to find a quiet corner in the bustling cafe. Her hand trembled slightly as she pressed the green icon to dial. Each ring felt like a countdown, amplifying her worries. Hello. Rachel's mom's voice came through, strained and laced with fear. Mrs. Johnson, it's Sarah. What is going on? Is Rachel okay? There was a pause on the other end, and Sarah could almost hear the woman taking a shaky breath. No, Sarah. Rachel's in trouble. They've taken her. She's at the station, and they've got her in custody. A cold wave washed over Sarah, the cafe blurred around her as reality set in. Custody? What happened? Is she hurt? She's scared. They're saying she was involved in something terrible. I don't know what to do. You have to help her. I will. I promise. I'm on my way. The words stumbled out in a frantic rush, her mind already racing to figure out what to do next. After hanging up, Sarah ran back to Mike, her heart pounding. Rachel's at the station. She's in custody, she blurted out, the gravity of her words weighing heavily in the air. Mike shot up from his seat, eyes wide with alarm. We need to move. We can't waste time. If they have her, what if they believe her? What if she says something that puts her in even more danger? We'll figure it out once we get there, Mike said, his tone sharp and focused. We have to show them she's not alone. They rushed out, the sounds of the cafe fading behind them as they navigated through the busy streets. Sarah's mind raced with horrific scenarios. If only she could reach Rachel before it was too late. There was an urgency in their footsteps, but it felt like the walls were closing in, the air thick with a sense of impending doom. As they approached the police station, Sarah hesitated on the sidewalk, her chest tight with anxiety. What if we can't get in? What if they won't let us see her? Mike grabbed her arm gently, a stabilizing presence. We have to try. We're her only chance right now. With a nod, Sarah steeled herself, the pull of determination outweighing her fear. Together, they entered the station, the fluorescent lights illuminating their path as they approached the reception desk. I'm here for Rachel Johnson, Sarah said, her voice strong, but inside, she felt a whirlwind of emotions. We need to see her. The officer looked her over, skepticism etched on his face. Who are you? Her friend. You have to let me talk to her. It's urgent. The officer hesitated, his eyes narrowing. You'll need to fill out some paperwork. Now. Mike interjected, stepping forward with unwavering confidence. You're putting her at risk by keeping her from us. We have vital information. As uncertainty flickered in the officer's eyes, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope, but it quickly dissipated when her phone buzzed again, and she glanced at the screen. Another message from Rachel's mom. The briefness sent chills down her spine. Hold on, it looks like there's more, she whispered, anxiety clawing at her throat. As Sarah opened the message, dread pooled in her stomach. What new revelation would this message bring? And would it be the key to unlocking Rachel's freedom or the final blow that sealed her fate? As Sarah read the message, her breath caught in her throat. It said simply, "They have evidence against her." I'm terrified. The words hung in the air, each letter driving nails of fear deeper into her chest. She glanced at Mike, who was already looking back at her, aware that the weight of the message threatened to crush them both. What does it say? He asked, his voice steady but laced with urgency. They have evidence, she replied, the words barely escaping her lips. Mike's brow furrowed. What kind of evidence? We need to know what we're up against. In that moment, Sarah felt a rush of determination. We'll figure this out. Rachel needs us to stand by her. We can't let them make her feel alone, she declared, surprising herself with the conviction in her words. Right, Mike agreed, furiously typing on his phone, let us think. If they have something, it can't just be hearsay. We need to know what accusations they've thrown at her. Fighting the urge to melt into a puddle of despair, Sarah turned her focus on the officer at the desk. What do we have to do to see Rachel? She repeated, resolute this time. The officer shifted from foot to foot, looking back and forth between them. You can't just waltz in there. It's a legal matter, please. She interrupted fiercely. She's not involved in whatever they think she is. She's innocent. The officer took a moment to assess her. There was a flicker of something, maybe compassion or regret. Fine, but it won't be easy. You'll have to be clear-headed about this, and you're limited to a short visit. Anything, Sarah breathed, relief washing over her. She turned to Mike, a silent exchange of resolve passing between them. After a few minutes, they were ushered into a small room to wait. The gray walls felt stifling, like they were too close. Sarah could hardly breathe, her thoughts racing about what Rachel might look like. Was she scared? Hurt? Guilty? Finally, the door creaked open, and there she was, Rachel. Her hands were bound in front of her, and her wide, frightened eyes met Sarah's. Relief and agony flooded Sarah's heart all at once. Rachel! Sarah exclaimed, rushing forward before Mike gently pulled her back. Stay calm, he whispered, positioning himself beside her to offer support. Rachel's gaze flickered between them, searching for reassurance. You guys shouldn't have come. It's bad, she said, her voice a whisper, filled with vulnerability. Tell us what happened, Mike said, leaning closer. We can help. This isn't what it seems, Rachel began, her voice trembling. They think I was involved in a robbery, but I wasn't there. Someone set me up. I swear. Sarah felt her heart race. What do you mean? Do you know who? Rachel shook her head, tears began to spill. I had no idea this was going to happen. I don't know how they found out, but they have someone claiming I was there. I didn't even know anything was going down. We need to find that person, Mike said decisively. If we can prove you're innocent, we'll get you out of here. Frustration bubbled in Rachel's eyes. But how? They have a witness, and I'm just stuck here. They won't listen to me. Then they'll listen to us, Sarah replied, her heart swelling with determination. We'll show them you're not alone. We're not leaving you. The door creaked open again, and an officer stepped in, cutting short their moment. Time's up, he announced curtly. Please, just a little longer. Sarah begged, desperation creeping in. As they were ushered out, Rachel's gaze held Sarah's, silently begging her not to give up. Outside the small room, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. The battle had only just begun, and already the stakes felt higher than ever. What evidence did they have against Rachel? Who was the witness? With each unanswered question, the tension strangled her resolve, leaving her more determined than ever. As they prepared to leave the station, a thought struck Sarah. What if the person who set Rachel up was someone she knew? A shiver ran down her spine. Could she have been betrayed by a friend? The uncertainty twisted inside her, and the fury of unanswered questions burned in her veins. She had to find out the truth, no matter where it led. What Michelle didn't see coming was the shocking connection that lay deeper than betrayal itself. As Sarah and Mike stepped out of the station, the cool evening air felt like a breath of fresh hope, yet the worry hung between them like a shadow. Sarah's fists clenched at her sides, her mind racing over every detail Rachel had shared. "We need to talk to every single person who might have seen what happened," she said, her voice firm, as if the sound could rally them against the looming threat. "Let us start with those who were at the cafe that night," Mike suggested, pulling out his phone to search for any possible leads. "If someone set Rachel up, it's possible someone else was there and knows something." "Right." Sarah nodded, fueled by the idea. She felt the pulse of urgency in her veins. "And we can visit Rachel's friends, too. Maybe she mentioned something that could help. Anyone who might have a clue about who could have fabricated that story needs to be gathered." With the sun dipping behind the horizon, they rushed to their car, determination propelling them forward. As they drove, the glow of streetlights flickered in and out like their defeated hopes and fears. Every red light felt like an enemy holding them back, but Sarah wasn't willing to let time work against her. "Do you think Rachel was framed specifically because of that incident?" Mike pondered aloud, glancing over at her. "I mean, could someone be using that robbery to get back at her for something?" "I don't know," Sarah replied, her heart tightening. "But it's possible someone saw her as an easy target. I just can't shake this feeling. She's innocent and someone out there is trying to ruin her life." Just then, Mike's phone buzzed. He glanced down, the light illuminating his expression. "It's someone from Rachel's circle," he said quickly, his eyes widening. "Marissa. I know her. We can ask her about the night." "Perfect," Sarah exclaimed, her spirits lifting. Marissa had always been a loyal friend. If anyone knew the truth, it might just be her. As they reached Marissa's apartment, anticipation poured over Sarah. They ran up the steps, breathing heavily, their hearts pounding with urgency. Mike knocked forcefully, his knuckles rapping against the door with a rhythm of desperation. Moments later, Marissa swung the door open, her face a mix of confusion and concern when she saw them. "What is going on?" she asked, stepping aside to let them in as they flooded into the cozy living room. "Marissa, we need to talk about Rachel," Mike said without preamble. "We believe someone set her up, and we need information on that night. Anything you remember would help." Marissa paled, her freckles contrasting against the sudden worry in her eyes. "I've been so worried about her. I went to bed early that night. I barely heard anything," she admitted, her voice quavering. "But I did see someone leaving the cafe that didn't look right." "Who?" Sarah pressed, hope igniting again. Marissa bit her lip. "It was a guy. I didn't think much of it at the time, but he seemed focused on Rachel. I overheard some whispers about a plan, but I didn't know what it meant. Do you think you can help us identify him?" Mike asked urgently. "I can try," she replied, her determination hardening. "I need to be sure, but I think I might be seen him before." "If I can remember." As she spoke, Sarah felt a mix of fear and relief. They were close, so close to unraveling the truth, and time was of the essence. Every moment counted. "Do whatever it takes, Marissa," Sarah urged, her eyes imploring. "For Rachel." Marissa nodded, her resolve clear. I will help her. I can't let my friend suffer like this. But as they turned to leave, Sarah's phone buzzed again. It was another message. Her stomach dropped as dread washed over her. What if the threat was closer than they thought? What if everything they feared was just the beginning? What now? Mike asked, eyes narrowing at her sudden silence. Sarah opened the message, her heart racing even faster. The word sent a chill down her spine: stop digging, or you'll regret it. The realization hit her hard. They weren't just fighting for Rachel anymore, they were now in the crosshairs of a much larger threat. What did that mean for them? Was she risking everything just by seeking the truth? They were about to learn just how dangerous this path could become. As Sarah stared at her phone, the words loomed in her mind, each letter sinking deeper into her thoughts. A chill ran through her. Who was watching them? What did they know? Sarah? Mike's voice broke her concentration, and she felt a surge of panic. She had to keep her cool, for both their sakes. Are you okay? Yeah, she said, forcing a smile. It's just if they're watching, we have to be smart about this. Marissa stood nearby, her brow furrowing with concern. What does the message say? Is Rachel in danger? Not just Rachel, Sarah replied, her voice shaking slightly. They're targeting us too. We need to be quick. Let us see if we can find that guy before anyone else gets hurt. The urgency in her tone propelled them into action. They piled back into the car, determination settling heavily in the pit of Sarah's stomach. As they drove away from Marissa's apartment, she felt weighty eyes on them, images flashing of every rearview mirror gaze and shadow lurking down alleyways. Where do we start? Mike asked, trying to focus as he navigated through the streets. Let us hit the cafe first, she replied. Maybe someone working there saw something. By the time they reached the cafe, the fluorescent lights glowed eerily against the darkening sky. It felt alive, yet haunted by its recent history. The buzzing of conversation mixed with the clinking of cups felt almost mocking against the gravity of their mission. Sarah entered the cafe, taking a deep breath to steady herself. The smell of coffee hit her, bittersweet with memories. She stepped to the counter where a barista was restocking pastries. Excuse me, do you remember anything unusual from the night of the robbery? The barista paused, looking thoughtful. Oh, that night? It was chaotic. I remember a lot of people were yelling and running, but afterward there was this guy who seemed anxious. He kept walking around like he was waiting for someone. I thought it was odd. Can you describe him? Mike pressed, a spark of hope igniting. He was wiry, kind of scruffy-looking curly hair. Wore a dark hoodie. He left just before the robbery went down, she explained, her brow knitting with concentration. Sarah exchanged a glance with Mike, and something in her gut stirred. Was he alone? She asked. I think so, but it looked like he was texting someone just before he left, the barista said, frowning. Mike's eyes were sharp with urgency. Do you know who he was texting? No, the barista shook her head. But he kept glancing toward the door. Like he was on edge. Thanks. Sarah felt the weight of urgency amplifying in her chest. We might need surveillance footage to get a clearer image. Is that possible? The barista nodded slowly. I can check. But it might take a few minutes. That's fine. Every second counts, Mike insisted, keeping Sarah focused. They stepped aside, minds racing with possibilities. If they could tie this guy to Rachel's situation, they might finally connect the dots. As they waited, Sarah's phone buzzed once again. Her heart dropped. Don't answer that, Mike warned, but she couldn't help herself. She glanced at the screen. You're just making this harder on yourself. Leave it alone. But the warning didn't stop her. They're serious, she murmured. We need to end this before it spirals. Suddenly, the barista returned, looking pale. I couldn't find the footage. It's been deleted, but there's a guy outside asking for you too. The world seemed to freeze. What? Mike shot back, a thread of fear igniting in his voice. He said he knows Rachel, he wants to help, the barista said slowly. What if he's in on it? Sarah felt her heart pound in a different rhythm now. The stakes were escalating. Let us at least hear him out, Mike suggested, glancing towards the door. As they stepped outside, a figure leaned against a nearby lamppost, shrouded in shadow, the flickering light casting an eerie glow. Are you Sarah and Mike? He called out, voice gravelly yet edged with urgency. Yes, who are you? Sarah demanded, her stomach turning in knots. The figure stepped forward, and in that moment, time seemed to stop. My name is Tyler, and I know what happened the night Rachel was framed. But you need to trust me. Trust him. The very thing they lacked. With a heart full of uncertainty, Sarah felt a choice point looming ahead. Would they open up their lives to another stranger, or would this lead them into deeper danger? Before we make any decisions, tell us the truth. We can't afford mistakes. Tyler nodded, but the darkness around him seemed to deepen. What was he hiding? In that moment, Sarah realized, they were right back at the heart of uncertainty, and this danger was far from over. Tyler's eyes flickered with urgency, but Sarah felt the walls closing in. Was this stranger really an ally or another piece in this twisted puzzle? Start talking, she said, her voice shaking but resolute. What do you know about Rachel? Listen, Tyler said, glancing around as if expecting someone to jump out from the shadows. I was at the cafe that night. I saw everything. The words fell from his lips, heavy with implications. What do you mean you saw everything? Mike demanded, crossing his arms protectively. I saw that guy scruffy, curly hair, and I heard him talking to someone. They were planning to set Rachel up. They mentioned something about needing a scapegoat, and Rachel's name came up. Tyler rushed, his tone a mix of fear and urgency. It's happening just as I thought. Sarah felt adrenaline surge through her. They targeted her because she was vulnerable. Tyler nodded solemnly, desperation clouding his features. I overheard them discussing a robbery they wanted to escalate to get what they needed. Rachel had no idea she was being used. Why didn't you say anything sooner? Mike shot back. You could have helped her instead of waiting until now. I was scared. I've seen what happens to people who get too involved with them. They're dangerous, Tyler replied, frustration lacing his voice. But I can't stand by and let Rachel pay for something she didn't do. Sarah felt her heart thunder in her chest. If what you're saying is true, then we need proof. Do you have any more information? Tyler shifted uncomfortably. I know the guy's name. It's Josh, but I don't know where he is now. If we find him, we can make him talk. He's got ties to the people behind this. They'll do anything to protect their own. Then we have to move fast, Mike said, glancing around again, paranoia creeping in. Where can we find him? Last I heard, he might still be hanging out with a crowd at a party near the old mill, Tyler said. But we have to be careful. These people won't take kindly to anyone snooping. We don't have a choice. Sarah looked at Mike, determined to fight for Rachel no matter the cost. We're going to get Rachel out of here. Now. They all piled back into the car, the air thick with tension. As they drove toward the old mill, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. What if they could confront Josh? Would he break under pressure, or would it lead them into a trap? We need to stay sharp, Mike said, casting quick glances in the rearview mirror. If we get caught, all this effort will be wasted. The mill loomed ahead, its dark outline cutting against the backdrop of the starry night. A sense of foreboding filled the car. They parked a block away and cautiously approached, the sounds of muffled laughter and music spilling into the night air. Keep your eyes open, Sarah whispered as they drew closer, scanning for any sign of trouble or familiar faces. As they entered the party, an electric atmosphere wrapped around them, laughter mingling with loud music. The smell of smoke and alcohol hit them like a wave, and for a moment, disorientation clouded their mission. "Josh! Where are you?" Tyler shouted over the commotion, cutting through the noise. Someone turned, eyes narrowing. "Why are you looking for him?" A girl challenged, her demeanor shifting immediately into hostility. "We just need to talk," Mike said, stepping in front to shield Sarah. "It's urgent." Before they could react, a figure emerged from the crowd, a tall, scruffy guy with disheveled curls and a cocky grin. Well. If it isn't my favorite little messengers. What do you want?" Josh's voice dripped with sarcasm. "We know what you did. We know about the setup with Rachel," Sarah pressed, keeping her voice steady against the rising tide of adrenaline. "You need to come clean. You're going to help her." Josh laughed, the sound sharp and mocking. "You really think I'm going to throw my friends under the bus? That's cute. Do you even know who you're messing with?" "Enough," Mike said, stepping closer, anger flaring. "She's innocent, and will do whatever it takes to clear her name. Think you can intimidate me?" Josh sneered, stepping forward. But before he could react, Tyler lunged forward. "You're not getting away with this. Don't treat her like a pawn." Chaos erupted as a scuffle broke out. Sarah's heart raced as they collided with the crowd. She caught glimpses of Josh dodging Tyler's grip, but she couldn't lose focus. She needed to hold on to this moment, capitalize on the chaos. "Stop!" she shouted, hoping to pierce through the noise. Josh paused, momentarily confused. "Tell us who set Rachel up." Mike's voice thundered through the crowd, shockwaves echoing in the charged atmosphere. "She doesn't deserve this." His eyes darted around, searching for an exit. "This is going to get ugly," he muttered. "Then maybe we just need to make it uglier." An idea sparked in Sarah's mind. Instead of intimidation, they could leverage their knowledge. "Look around you," she shouted, sweeping her hands across the crowd. "You think we're the only ones here wanting answers? What's happening to Rachel and everyone involved could ruin you too. The truth will come out whether you like it or not." A flicker of uncertainty crossed Josh's face, and Sarah seized the moment. "Help her, and maybe there's a chance we can walk away from this." She locked eyes with him, her heart pounding wildly. "Or you can keep running and end up just like her with nowhere to hide." Time seemed to hold its breath. Would he crack? Would he see the truth in her eyes? Just when the tension felt unbearable, Josh let out a shaky breath. "Fine," he relented. "But you're not getting what you think. The people I work with, they don't back down easily." "If I say anything will protect you," Tyler said earnestly, his voice filled with a surprising calm. "You can count on us." With jaws tight, the three of them stood there, uncertainty swirling, but the promise of action finally tangible. They were standing at the crossroads of injustice and truth, and every choice from here on out would matter immensely. In that critical moment, while the world buzzed around them, Sarah had a choice to make. Would they push forward to save Rachel together, no matter the potential fallout? Would they dare to take on not just the danger ahead, but the very willingness to see through the shadows and chase the light? And as Josh finally began to speak, Sarah knew they were stepping into the unknown, but they were ready. United in determination, they were primed to face whatever came next together. This was their moment, and there was no turning back. The sun would rise with the promise of a new day, and what lay ahead could either lead to their salvation or seal their fates. But whatever the outcome, they would confront it boldly, side by side. After all, fighting for one another was the only way forward in this chaotic storm. Now was the time. And as the first whispers of the truth began to unravel, they felt the surge of hope ignite within them. It was everything they had fought for, and it all started here. The fight was on. And with it, the resolve to support each other until the very end. Before we close, I need you to do something serious for me right now. I want you to subscribe immediately to this channel. Don't miss another moment of our journey. This is the moment to show your support for more stories that matter. Also, leave a like now if you felt even an ounce of the tension and triumph we just experienced. Trust me, it feeds the algorithm like nothing else. And comment below with your reactions and feelings about this wild transformation we've just witnessed. Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this adventure. You need to let them see what courage and friendship can achieve. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Real fans understand the importance of keeping these stories alive, and you are a crucial part of that. Let's keep this energy alive together.